All right, cool. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is my new channel.
Should be done. Yeah, so we
is
moved
this
this
your
to
channel now, Adrik?
Yeah, this is my channel now. Sorry. So that charismatic, sexy toned guy you guys are used to, fuck him. It's me now.
All right.
Okay, we'll just start as the players come in. We'll add them in. I don't know if this is just it tonight, if it's a bad night for people, but right now we've got the group is currently been arrested by the remnants of the Altimer Cove Guard. They've been accused with the murder of the guardsmen in the Mountain Pass, and some interesting developments have happened where there is some suspicion being laid at the captain's feet, Amos Stanwyck. Right now, we will go to, we'll just go to the last page that you guys were at. So here's you guys. Your group was surrounded. Force of guards with spears were dismounted and came and strip searched you, basically took your armor, your weapons, your items. The mounted guards all have longbows trained on you. The captain, Stanwyck, wants to execute you immediately. He doesn't even want you guys to go to trial. And the bureaucrat, the nasally bureaucrat there, has stopped him and cited different city codes and country laws that require you to have an audience with the mayor at the very least. So as you guys are being searched and items taken away, Amos starts leading you down the main thoroughfare of the town. I think, here we go, yeah. There's this cool map again.
Just from my understanding, they took our inventory.
Yes, inventory, weapons, and armor.
Okay, so we don't have anything on our persons except, some clothes.
Yes. Nobody, I think Kai tried to hide a dagger, but he got found out.
Yeah.
So you guys are being led down this main thoroughfare to the barracks down there at the south of the town. As you pass the mayoral mansion, right there inside the city walls, the mayor comes walking out. At this point, there's sort of a large crowd that's gathered. 30 or 40 men walking down the middle of the street is quite a sight, and so people have stopped what they're doing and have gathered, and whispers can be heard, some murmuring, and people are identifying you as the ones who helped at the Harvest Festival. You helped save people, but now you're being accused of murdering these guards, and people obviously know of that accusation. Excuse me. So the mayor comes out, he stops Amos, and he says, what's going on? What is this, Amos? And Amos goes up to him, says, "My lord, we must execute these prisoners immediately. They're the ones who killed the guards up in the pass." And he says it quite forcefully, and the mayor's a bit taken aback. Why do we need to do that? They're dangerous. We can't hold this many in the jail effectively. We need to expedite this. We need to execute them immediately. And at this point, the bureaucrat steps up and goes, "Actually, sir, according to," and Amos rounds on him and says, "Shut up, Pegley." And he sort of backs down a little bit, and the mayor says, "Oh, Mr. Pegley, it's quite all right. Amos, we're not going to execute them immediately. I'm going to question them first." And he turns to Pegley again. He says, "Pegley, please go get the good lady Torvinius. She's in the church. Go get her and have her meet me at the barracks. We will begin the interrogations immediately." And at this, Amos gets visibly enraged and storms off. He sort of, almost like in a huff, he whirls around and walks off down one of the side streets. Everybody roll a perception check.
And I thought I was a diva.
We're right into it. Apparently, we are immediately going off on that.
Look at me. I get a 0.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we got someone at least.
Hey, James is saving her ass.
Well, his ass. He doesn't have to share what
All
he
right.
finds.
Okay, Nye and Zixo, you guys are sort of near the back of the procession. There's a few guards in front of you, and then there's Adrik and Dretan, and then you two are sort of in the back along with some of the others. And as you see Amos storm off, you sort of follow him a little bit with your eyes, and in the gathered mass of people, you notice a woman in armor, all black armor. On her chest, emblazoned on her chest as her sigil is a bright white shield with what looks like a stylized spear on fire, and she is staring daggers at Amos. She is, you could practically see the steam coming out of her ears, and as Amos passes the crowd and goes off a side street, she follows him. And you guys continue on. The mayor starts leading your procession down. You're passing the middle of town now, and some of the crowd has gotten a little more emboldened and are starting to heckle you guys, call out accusations. The murder of 6 guards. This is a small community, and even though these were more military guards, more of a garrison, they still were part of the city. And so some people have very fresh feelings on this, and there's an occasional rotten fruit thrown, or something gross thrown at you guys as you're walking down. It's sort of a walk of shame.
Did any of them hit?
Let me roll for that really fast.
Adrik, being near the front, is going to walk with his head held high because he knows
Oh, wait.
party members.
I want to do something. I don't think it's going to work, but I want to do something.
Okay.
Damn! I really wanted to have Rede just grab one as a statement, but nope, he can get hit in the face with one.
Okay. One particularly soft and sort of blackened tomato strikes Rede right in the cheek and sort of sticks there for a second, slides off. And you guys continue on.
I'd like to know, can I make a check to see if that was the emblem on her shield, which god that was?
Sure, go ahead. Make you and was it Nye? Yeah, you and Rede can make either a history or a religion check, whichever one is higher.
Just as bad either way, so I guess I'll go the other way.
Okay,
Man,
Zixo,
the legend of Rede continues.
You recognize that symbol as the Order of the Sable Guard. The Sable Guard are a remnant Paladin order that have descended from roughly 400 years before. 400 years before, Viridia Dragov battled an ancient evil, and her inner circle, her most trusted knights, were called the Sable Knights. And they were entrusted with fighting this demonic invasion that was happening, and following that huge battle where Viridia was able to defeat this ancient demon, Viridia was able to establish the first empire, the Dragovian Empire. After some stuff happened, passing to kids, and the kids start fighting or whatever, the first empire went away, and that's where the Edrithian Accord came up. That's what the current system of government is Edrithia. So that these Sable Guardsmen are still out there, but they are very much looked upon skeptically and even almost regarded as treasonous because they hold to this old Dragovian ideal where they were the inner circle of the first empress.
And which god gives these paladins their powers?
Very much it's instilled within them, but if any god were chosen, it would be Orandus, the god of war.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys continue on. You're past the main square now, and you're headed towards the barracks.
And what is? I'm sorry. The church, local church in this town. Which god is it a god towards? A temple?
It is the god of Amankur.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys head off. You get to the barracks. You enter the barracks, and inside you notice a couple guardsmen on duty that did not go out. A couple clerks and sort of officials. More desk type guards that process the paperwork. Immediately, you turn to your left, and you're ushered to a large iron-bound wood door, very hefty, very strong, and they open it, and it descends down into some stairs into darkness, and that's where the dungeon is. So you go down into the dungeon, and because there's just 4 of you right now, you all get your own cells. You are placed in your cells. Let me actually place your figures, and then I'll pull you guys over.
So, how much trouble can we cause for the GM locked in a cell? I say we make a competition out of it.
You can possibly
I
imagine.
can.
Oh god, just
lot.
because I think I still have a spell slot open. I got one left. All right.
I mean, I do too, but neither of us have a. Well, no, I'm not going to say that.
Some things don't.
Yeah,
I
some
have spell
things don't
slots,
require-
but I'm smart enough to know to wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say I've read up on
How does that look? Do you guys all have
spells
Okay,
and
cool.
whatnot. So
All I see is my character, and it's dark.
Awesome, cool. Okay, let me see.
I
if
think
this
that's the
works
idea.
now.
he's going for it. So yeah. So fun fact.
Well, I do
Some
have
spells
dark
don't
vision, though, so I
require.
should be able to see.
Unless you're locked in a room. Do you guys see that?
I see a
Yes.
small sliver.
Yep.
Right about
Just
here.
a tiny sliver.
Oh, I see that. Hoo-ha.
Yep.
So I can't see the rest of my cell?
You're in your cell. Your cell is 3 by 5.
Holy
Oh,
shit!
because
It is
I
dark
only
in-
have I only see one sliver right there, and the rest of it is black.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I can't
yours.
see.
It's you're in prison in a jail, and you are vaguely aware that Adrik, you were one of the first doors. You could hear Dretan go in next door to you as they shoved him in. Rede was third, and Zixo was last in that order. And as the guards, leave and sort of make some crude jokes at your expense, there's no love lost there. They regard you as criminals and as murderers of their fellow guardsmen. They were maybe a bit too rough, shoving you in the cells. But you hear another person within the jail area. You hear some mumbling and slight giggling. Yeah.
Oi, who's laughing in here? You realize where you are, right?
And you hear this voice. This, they hired me. They hired me to say we were rebels. They wanted me to gain your trust.
Aye, who is this?
And he just continues to say, they hired me to say they were rebels. They wanted to gain your trust.
And you guys thought I was a loose cannon.
I can't see anything on the map. What does my cell look like?
There's just a dark stone floor, stone walls. There's a small makeshift cot with maybe a large towel that's raggedy and some straw in the corner and a bucket in the other corner.
Okay.
On the back wall, there's this sort of weird drip that goes down into a small, inch or two trench at the bottom and collects there and then goes out the side of your cell, presumably next door to Reed's cell, and continues on. So you can get you know that water is most likely clean water, and the trench is there to sort of funnel waste out.
How high is the ceiling?
The ceiling is about 10 feet high.
What about the entryways? Is there a window? Are there
Is there
are there like any entryways into the cell, like looking out into the hallway?
In the door, there is a small area that slides open from the outside. you can't operate it from the inside, so you can't see anything, but it's like one of those just little peepholes that they can slide open and look inside. At the back of your cell and near the top, about 4-inch high, 4-inch by about 6-inch little opening, you see it's barred, but it goes way far back, about 7 or 8 feet, and then you see some light shining back there. So it's a gutter way back there with a slight opening to allow some fresh air into your cell.
Is that big enough for a small, tiny creature?
No, not a tiny, no.
Wow.
Okay.
Adrik would like to lay on his cot and cast the light cantrip on the wall behind his head.
Okay.
And wait for his questioning.
All right, you do so, and you get a comfortable, nice little warm glow in your cell.
Comfy.
Reed's gonna do much the same. Sans the light.
Okay. All right, you guys make yourselves comfortable.
Is it cold in here?
No, it's a little warm. It's stuffy.
Stuffy. Okay.
You continue hearing that mumbling that's going on, and as did Elessar come in here yet? Oh, okay. You in here, Elessar?
I'm going to ask Pip if he can reach out with his mind and talk to the guy in the other cell.
Okay. Pip goes quiet for a second, and then comes back to his gnome friend. There's something wrong with that fellow. I can't get into his mind. It's almost like there's a glass barrier.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
You guys hear the door to the jail sort of jingle and open, and in comes. You hear the mayor, his voice talking with someone else, and you hear a feminine voice answer back in hushed tones. As you do so, he opens Zixo's door, and there's a couple guards there with him, and he ushers you out. He sort of just waves you out and says, I need to ask you a few questions.
I'll give him a bow, and then I'll proceed where he directs me.
Okay. He leads you back upstairs. There's a small room. How would you guys like to handle this? Are you guys pretty confident you won't metagame, or do you want me to go in a different chat room to ask the questions?
I'm pretty calm. I'm not gonna metagame.
Okay, cool.
Just chilling.
Yeah, I trust you guys. I figured it'd be funner to listen.
We don't want to keep this information from the 2 other people who watches these videos.
Exactly. the whole 2 viewers who want to know what it said.
Actually, I watched them twice, so I think that's just me.
Oh yeah, the one. Man, here I thought I was gonna be YouTube famous for a second.
Okay. So Zixo, he leads you upstairs. Here, I won't pull you into a different voice room, but I'll pull you into a different window here. Sort of just threadbare, very, very stark. There's just a table and a bench over in the corner, and there's a seat in the middle. He directs you to sit down in the seat, and he goes back into the bench area. He sits at the bench next to this older woman dressed in priestess robes, very ornate. You presume this is the Lady Torvinius that he had directed Pegli to get. After you are made comfortable and sit down, and guardsmen are at the door.
Out to her.
Okay, you bow to her. She inclines her head as well and has a small amused smile from your bow. As you guys are all getting comfortable, and it looks like the mayor's about to start. You hear a hurried knock on the door. The guard looks at the mayor sort of questioningly, and the mayor inclines his head. Yes, open it. And the guard opens the door, and there is Pegli, the bureaucrat from the street, and he's huffing and puffing. I'm sorry, Mayor. I had to go get my notes. And he comes rushing in and sort of on the table puts his notes down and sits down on the bench and gets ready to start writing. So, okay, I'm ready now. And the mayor, sort of a bit exasperated at the whole disruption, turns to the priestess, says, "Sister, you may begin." And she stands up and approaches you. Hello, Master Gnome. My name is Sister Torvinius. I'm priestess of Amenkor, and I'm going to cast a zone of truth in the area so that we know that you will answer truthfully. And she sort of says a few words and waves her hand around, and you feel this sort of grip, this force grip you a little bit around your inner self.
I intentionally fail my saving throw.
Okay, I was going to ask. Mechanically, you can intentionally fail. So she again nods her head in respect and goes to sit down and turns to the mayor and says, he is telling the truth. And the mayor stands up and walks over and clasps his hands behind his back officially and sort of spreads his stance. And he says, what is your name?
Good sir, my name is Zixo Sprigham.
Very good. Where are you from, Zixo?
I'm from a gnome village in the nearby forest. You may have heard my brother, Zeno Sprigham. He's a local folk hero.
He raises his eyebrow at that. And, he asks, what brought you to Altimer Cove? Why are you here?
Well, I had set out to discover the world, and this was near the beginning of my journey, and you were having a festival, so I stopped by to partake in your lovely city.
And he turns around to the sister, and she nods her head. And he turns back to you, and he says, why did you jump into the fight during the Harvest Festival?
Well, as the festival was going on, I was looking through the main square, looking at all the fine things that were on display, and all the fun that people were having, drinking and dancing. And I saw this man that he would call Lawrence. He was acting oddly, so I moved over to see if there was anything amiss. This was when he had signaled a mob of others, and they all began rushing with their weapons drawn to try and kill you, the mayor. I stepped between you and the mob, and I think, if you remember, I cast a fire blast to prevent them from reaching you. And then the rest of the people who joined me later also helped to save you and the other townsfolk from befalling any harm from these people.
Right. I know
you do remember, yes?
I do remember. I know your actions. I'm asking why. What caused you to do that?
Well, it must be for all good men to stand when evil rears its head.
And he says, are you a good man?
I am a good man. I am a good gnome, though.
He smiles at that, and he turns around to the sister, and she once again nods her head. He says, when you were hired to investigate the Hobgoblin camp, where did you go?
Well, you had indicated on the map the cave that you had thought we would be able to find these, at least evidence of these hobgoblins, or these goblins. We went there. As we had entered the cave, though, somebody had rushed and collapsed the cave behind us. We were lucky to find some natural passageways that allowed us to escape that situation. He
stops you. He says, someone collapsed the cave?
Yes. After we had entered, there was a large force approached us, and they collapsed the cave, I believe trying to kill us, as all of a sudden the cave began to fill up with water.
He seems a bit troubled at this. He says, okay, continue on.
Well, we were able to escape through that natural passageway I told you about. And it led us into a temple of some evil practitioners who were working with or trying to call out a shadow demon, or working at the shadow demon's request. We were able to stop that ceremony, and we saved a man in the process. I would like for him to speak on our behalf, if you could find him. He was a local farmer. But that demon then singled us out and decided that we would have to pay a price for interfering with its plans. And I think its plans have something to do with your town.
You stopped a death cult, you're saying?
I think so. You can go up and inspect it yourself. Our tracks will lead back to there. That is actually on our way out of that death cult when we came upon your guardsmen.
And you say you rescued one of the townsmen?
Okay, Hockey, I'm out of character here. Remember, I ran this one twice. I know definitely in the first one we saved the townsman. Did we do it again?
No. That was somebody else's. We've only done this once. I've only ran this entire campaign once. This one's tailor-made for you guys. You might like somebody else's.
No, didn't you test run the encounter in the temple?
Mm-mm. Nope.
No?
Unless I don't remember doing that.
Okay, then that was something else.
Yeah, I think that
so
was.
I have faulty memory here then.
No, you're all good.
Did we save somebody being sacrificed?
No, this was the one with the stone that broke your staff.
Oh, that's right. That's right. There was the big stone. Okay, I go and proceed and describe to him the big stone guardian and what we had to do to stop that evil cult.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, now that came back to me. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
Too much D&D.
That's not a bad thing. He says, okay, so once you had traversed under the mountain and slain the death cult and encountered a shadow entity, a shadow demon you call it, what happened when you exited the cavern and encountered my squad of guardsmen?
When we encountered your squad of guardsmen, we had seen, when we came upon them, what we saw was a demon with some like demon dogs spread out around them.
You saw this with your own eyes.
I say yes, and I look right at the cleric, and I nod my head. That is what I saw.
And he turns to the cleric, and she, with her eyes open, nods as well, a bit surprised. And the mayor begins stroking his chin a little bit, and slowly walks back to the bench under contemplation, and waves to the guards with his hand, and says, "Bring in the next one."
No, sir, there's something else you must know before, just to make sure you get this information. That Amos Stanwyck guy seems to want us dead very quickly.
Yes.
But do you remember that note that we found when we had questioned those guys after they tried to kill you?
I vaguely remember you. Yes, I do.
Remember how it was signed AS?
I do.
I'm just saying, maybe you want to introduce this cleric to Amos and see if he is telling the truth.
He has a sidelong glance with Sister Torvinius, and he says, "We are aware of Amos. Unfortunately, he declines. He is not a man of God. He has declined the services of the church. As such, it is more than you should know. But I have him well under control. I do not think it was his letter. There are many that go around in this realm with the initials AS, but I thank you for your warning."
I think it's also important you know that I saw a member of the Sable Guard seems to be working with AS. They just left together when they stormed off.
Lady Galena, you think she works with Amos?
Well, she certainly gave him a look of as if she was not happy with him at all.
And he contemplates this for a minute, and he turns to the second guardsman, and he says, "Will you send out a squad of guardsmen to locate Lady Galena? I would like to speak with her." And he has the other guardsmen get ready to escort you back down to the cells. Anything else, Master Gnome?
No, sir. I place my life into your hands. I give a bow to him and a bow to the cleric. And immediately go back to my cell.
Yep. And so the guard leads you down. You three in the cells. You hear the door open once more, and you hear Zixo come back down with the guard. And the guard opens Rede's door, and he waves you forward.
Just gonna make that nice and easy.
I have now swapped over from singing Nobody Knows to Prison Song by Toxicity.
Of course.
Adrik sings backup vocals, of course.
Okay, so Rede comes out and accompanies the guard up to the room. You see, as you enter, you see Pegley looking a bit worried. He's gone a little white. He was already very pale to begin with. He's not a man of action or a man who spends time in the sun, but he is more white than before. And the mayor is sharing hushed whispers with Sister Torvinius, and they both look a little concerned. The guard waves you over to the seat and sort of plops you down in the seat. And the mayor finishes his conversation, and He turns to Sister Torvinius and says, "Is your zone still active?" She says, "Yes, it is." So go ahead. You can roll your a charisma saving throw, or you can intentionally fail it if you want to tell the truth.
And there's going to be a moment where Rede looks a little bit uncomfortable because, having your inner self being squeezed is not a good thing, but he's not going to fight it.
Okay. So she turns to the mayor and says, "He's ready to tell the truth." And he turns back to you again, assumes that stance with his arms clasped behind his back. He says, "What is your name?"
I am Rede, youngest son of House Allard.
House Allard? Oh, I know House Allard very well. What are you doing all the way down here, Rede of House Allard?
Well, depending on how well you know my family, you may know that I have a number of elder siblings. By the time I was born, all of the house's wealth and chattels had already been distributed amongst the rest of my family. And while we did the best we could, there was not much for me to contribute. So as opposed to staying and being a burden upon my family, I took it upon myself to leave and try to really spread the goodness and joy that my mom had brought to the churches we had worked my entire childhood, to bring that to the land myself.
And he nods slowly and turns to regard you and he says, I knew Giles when he was much younger, when he had just a few children. Tell me again, what's the oldest's name? What's your oldest sister's name?
Well, my oldest sister is Cathiel.
And she's the eldest, correct?
Yes, she is the eldest.
Of all the children, she was the eldest born, the firstborn?
Well, you asked me with my eldest sister. She is the eldest sister. She is not the eldest child.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Who's the eldest child?
Well, the eldest child is my brother Aaron.
All right. I apologize for the deceit. I was attempting to make sure you are who you say you are. And he turns to the cleric, or to the Sister Torvinius, and she nods and turns back to you and he says, "All right, Rede of House Allard, why are you in Altimer Cove?"
There's no real easy answer to that. I was trying to decide where to go. I had only started my own journey just before coming down here. And as I had decided to leave, as I was saying goodbyes to my family, I kind of wanted an idea of where I could do good. And, I talked to my brother, I talked to my father, and they had been discussing the family business kind of offhand as I approached. And they had mentioned coming down here. The family interest, especially for my eldest brother, is generally mining. It's where we had got a lot of our wealth, a lot of our connections. And they had said something about Altimer Cove and the surrounding land having potential for a mining concern. They had also, spoken highly of it in general with that in interest, so I thought if I'm going to be traveling in general, I might as well come down here and at least take a peek, see what's going on. If my family will be down here, I'd like to know what they'd be doing.
So were you sent with any specific mission? Anyone to talk to?
Not at all. This was more something I wanted to do. I
see.
Unfortunately, as the youngest, I don't have any connection to the family businesses, to the family controls, to the concerns in general. But if you've heard my name all the way down here, you've heard of my family, if I'm going to be traveling with my name known, I'd like to know what my name is going to be known for.
So you came down here to ensure your knowledge of your family's operations?
Essentially, if they're going to come down here and be down here, I might be down here too. I'd like to know what I could expect. If they're going to succeed here, I'd like to know that. If they're not going to, maybe I could help them by giving them that information.
And he nods at that and he says, "And for no other reason?"
No other reason.
And he turns to the cleric and she nods. He says, "All right, why did you involve yourself in that fight at the Harvest Festival?" the attempted assassination?
Well, that's more easy. As we were enjoying ourselves, and I was enjoying a good wine, we were having a good time all together. I couldn't help but hear that there was armaments. You know, having run in chainmail myself, it is not hard to hear. And as I looked up, I noticed that the folks around me were running, were screaming. This was not something you had intended, as far as I could tell. So my attempt was to get between the townsfolk, those who were running, and these people who were inspiring fear. My attempt was to stop them by words alone. Unfortunately, I failed. We had attempted multiple times to try to stop at least the group that I was working with. But I just wanted to make sure that no one was hurt, and these did not look like friendly people. A guard under your employ would have identified themselves.
He nods at that and turns to the cleric, and she nods. He turns back to you and says, so when this group that you're running around with, when you were hired to investigate the Greenskin camp, as the note says, where did you end up going?
After discussion amongst the group, we decided to specifically go hunt for this camp. And I believe we had decided, though I can't recall if it was from the note directly or your direction, to head northeast, to go towards the mountains. As we did, we looked for really any signs of anything. And after some time of exploration and some time of looking around, we had found a cave up in the mountains that had fortifications created specifically to try to keep it hidden. That we had found that, we decided that must be related and decided to investigate.
Okay, that corroborates what your companion says, and he didn't even bother looking at the cleric. He's satisfied that at least you and Zixo were telling the truth. He asks, so once you had gone down into the cavern and been able to find your way out of your predicament, being trapped in the cave, what happened when you encountered the squad of my guardsmen that had come looking for you?
Rede looks a little bit troubled by this, actually, as you speak of this, and then he just shakes his head and he says, when you say encounter your squadron, that implies that we found them. Alive, at least. As we had exited the caverns, as we tried to find out where we were, descending down a mountain path, we found them dead to begin with. Now, I don't know, I can't tell you exactly what killed them, because I don't know myself. It was a creature, somewhat humanoid, of vastly greater strength than I. It leaped 50 foot within an inch, and met me and my companions immediately. At its command were some creatures that I have never seen the like of before. It had been savaging the bodies of your guards before we'd ever arrived.
They were dead beforehand.
They were dead before our arrival.
And you are a man of the cloth. How would you classify this being?
While I have spent plenty of time among the churches and giving as much glory to the gods as I can, my own knowledge of creatures infernal is not amazing, as much as I hate to admit that lack. While I had looked at this creature and I would love to say that I know what it is, I don't. Whatever this creature was, it sent shivers through me. I can say it sent chills, but that's about all I could tell you, unfortunately.
He turns to regard the Sister Provinius, and she nods her head with a frown on her face. And he says, "Thank you, good sir." And he turns to Pegley and says, "Master Pegley, please, could I have the letter?" And there's shuffling of notes and everything, and there's papers going everywhere. And Pegley finally says, and he hands up an envelope to the mayor. And the mayor sort of taps it in his hands for a second and holds it out to you, and he says, "I must apologize. You were already under suspicion when this came into my hands, and well, I hope you understand. I read through it. It seems mostly personal. Here you are." And he hands it back to you, and you see on the cover, inscrawled in a familiar handscript is your name, Rede. You recognize it as your sister's handwriting, and I'll put it in your journal right now so you can read through it. And he says, "Anything else, Master Ellard?"
Rede looks a little bit troubled, and he nods and he says, "I don't know what became of it, but when we fought the creature outside the cave, we were unable to defeat it. We were unable to even get the chance. Due to a chance casting of a spell, the creature decided to leave combat with us and flew southwest from that position. After consulting with other members of my party who would know better where we are than I did, we determined that that creature may be heading in this direction, and we fled here as quickly as we could to see what would have occurred. Naturally, the town seems to be, doesn't seem to be damaged, but I'm a little concerned as to where it could have gone. We came here as the most direct route as we really could have through the mountains, and saw no sign of it, no place it could have stopped, and it didn't double back and encounter us. I'm concerned it may be around here somewhere."
You were saying that when you encountered it, you were not able to slay it, and it has now moved on and headed this direction.
While we fought it, one of our party was attempting to get rid of a foe greater than all of us. They had doubts, as far as I could tell, that we could have killed it ourselves. Upon their success at making it leave us, it headed in this direction. I can't tell you how glad I am to see that nothing has happened, but I'm concerned that something might, considering it went bearing due southwest, which, from what we could tell, would bring it here.
He nods his head. He turns to the Sister Torvinius, and she nods eagerly, letting him know that you are telling the truth according to what you know. And he turns back to you. He says, Your honesty and your uprightness is appreciated, and I will reciprocate your concern for my town. We have had reports of this beast in the area going back as far as a few months ago. We have not seen it in town. It has not harmed any of the guards, allegedly up until this point that you say it is the one responsible for the death of the guards. But it did not make it back to the town as far as I know. And he waves the guard forward to bring you back down into the cells.
And Real nod, and as he leaves says, "You have my sword should you need of it, should it come in this direction."
Thank you, Master Ellard. And he sits back down and begins discussion with Pegle and Sister Torvinius again. And the guard directs you to the cells again, back down through the room, back down the stairs into the cells, and puts you back in your cell. And he opens Dretan's cell. And,
Yes.
and looks at you a bit quizzically as you're right there by the door waiting. And he waves you forward.
I've been hitting rhythmically on the bars with my hands.
Okay. He waves you forward and directs you up the stairs and into the room right here. And you see the same setup. You see Pegle at the desk. You see the mayor and Sister Torvinius at the bench. And they, as soon as you enter the room, they cut off their conversation. And you step towards the chair, and as you get close to the chair, you feel this force sort of grab hold of you. And you can make your charisma saving throw, or you can willingly fail, whichever one you want.
I crit.
Okay.
They know that you succeeded, though.
Yep.
That's fine.
Sister Torvinius regards you with the raised eyebrow and turns to the mayor and says, "He has resisted the spell, my lord." And the mayor turns slowly back towards you.
Your
And he says,
poetry
"All
puts
right."
that mark on me.
And he says, "What's your name, good sir?"
You actually haven't heard of me? That's surprising. My name is Dretan Sandfoot of the Sandfoot clan.
And why should I believe you, Master Alleged Sandfoot?
I don't know.
God.
All right. What brought you to Altimer Cove?
I was taught by the great minstrel. God, I can't remember his name. Yes. The minstrel Morten von Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Yes. He taught me after a encounter with him at my local village when he was found newly dead, where after some interesting incidents, he miraculously came back to life and taught me the trade of being a bard. Since then, I have wandered the lands, telling tales and making women's garments wet.
You hear a gasp from Sister Tervinius, and the mayor is trying to hide a smile. Pegley in the corner is just, his brow is furrowed. He's shaking his head at you, impertinent child, and the mayor sort of smirks slightly and says, "Be that as it may, why did you involve yourself in the fight, in the assassination attempt on my life at the Harvest Festival a few days back?"
They ruined my performance.
And merely by virtue of ruining your performance, you wanted to slay men, take away their lives?
All that and the fact they were also shooting at people.
For the defense of others, then, is what you're saying?
It was more like if I didn't do anything, then I'm no better than a skunk. But I also don't like the idea of violence. It's kind of a weird sort of situation then.
A moral quandary you find yourself in.
I find those happen quite a lot in my life.
And this group of adventurers you find yourself with, do they also have moral quandaries a lot?
Most of them stay in the normal passes. Sometimes they disappear out of nowhere. Other times, they do random things that you wouldn't expect any of them to do.
Are they good people, Master Halfling?
I am not a good judge of character.
He gives you the Obama look, not bad. And he strokes his chin and says, "Why did you agree to investigate the Hobgoblin camp?"
There was both promise of coin, and plus it would get my name out there. I travel for
notoriety and gold.
Basically.
Is that what drives your purpose in life?
There is that. I also seek to become a better, bard. I'm a mere song thrower. I don't have the sort of guiles like Beethoven who can come up with stories on the fly. And I want to get to that point. And what better way than to journey across the land with me?
Morten von Beethoven is your role model, you would say?
In a sense, yes. He gave me the life that I didn't know I was looking for. Bear in mind,
you
I
should
haven't
know.
seen him since.
You should know, Master Halfling. Beethoven came through this land a few months back. After running afoul of the law, he was chased out of the area, and I do not know where he went. But
what did he do?
His name is not favorable in these parts.
I don't care. What did he do?
He looks at how eager you are and hesitates to say it, but he says...
Somebody, I need a pencil and something to write on.
He says, Master Beethoven was found in one of the local miners' beds with the miner's wife while the miner was away.
Yeah, that's expected. I figure a name like his, you'd expect almost everything from the man.
Well, let's just say that it wasn't the only bed he was found in the course of his stay. It was his 8th.
That's what I expected.
Following that and the civil unrest, I'm sure you can understand was happening. I had no choice but to chase him out of here.
Yeah, all right.
He says, and he turns around and turns back towards you and says, please give me your account when you encountered the demon on the road that was allegedly slaughtering my guardsmen.
That thing was a demon? And that explains
That is
the
how your
laser death
companions
beams.
have explained him. Do you have a better explanation?
I'll usually call that thing a flying being of death.
So this flying thing of death, then.
The
Please.
motherfucker shot laser beams, alright? I'm not gonna call him anything else.
All right. Then what happened?
Dretan gets really sheepish, starts sheepishly looking at the ground. Well, when we first encountered him after leaving the caves, he and a bunch of these weird dog-limb things were around a group of dead armored folk. I don't know who they were exactly. People kept saying they were Ultimate Cove guards, but I don't keep track of details very well. He basically jumped us upon us seeing him and nearly killed, I think it was the dwarf, or was it the paladin? It was one of the two. Either way, he jumped. In my attempts to hide from the thing, because it was fucking terrifying, he jumped directly in front of me. And to say that I was not fearful would be a lie. In a bid to save my own life, I performed a suggestion on his mind and told him to go away.
And that's when he flew towards my town.
I wouldn't say necessarily towards your town, more like in your town's direction. I mean, he didn't go there specifically to hunt you guys. He was just, going away, like I told him.
Very well. And on your way back to my town, what were your thoughts as you traveled?
Well, for most of the part, I was trying to remember if you guys were even down this way. The rest of the time was it was less than ideal. I sat for a good 5 minutes thinking about what I did.
That long, huh?
Yeah, it was a dreadful time.
I see. Anything else, Master Halfling?
Can I say your guys' jail is absolutely appalling?
I will take your recommendations up with our jailer.
There's
Guards.
not a single person playing music in there.
He,
I have to drum on the
waves
fucking
the guards
bar to get
forward
anything to
as
go.
you're talking, and the guards come and sort of just pick you up and take you out. And
And need I talk about the bed mats?
and he takes you back down the stairs and back to your jail cell, and close the door behind you. And they come and they open Adric's cell, and Adric's just there, dozing away on his cot. And the guard says, "Aye," and sort of taps you with his spear butt and gets you to come up. And
Of course. Sorry about that.
comes up the stairs and
I didn't realize you guys had typed so much shit in the chat till now.
Oh, yeah, it's a read.
and as you get close to this chair again, you feel that same force grip you, and you can make a charisma saving throw, or you can fail the save.
I let it wash over me.
Okay.
Sister, very well casted. Mild discomfort at best.
And she gives you a smile and inclines her head in respect, and turns to the mayor and says he's ready to tell the truth. And you sit down, and the mayor regards you and says, "Master Dwarf, we tend to not get your folk this far south. Please tell me your name."
My name is Adrik Ironbeard. I'm the adopted son of Balrum Ironbeard.
And where are you from, Adrik?
Well, I have many homes, but 3 of them are close to my heart. Wherever I was born, which I do not know, I was raised in Edrithia for a number of years by Balrum, and then I've been wandering the mountains north of Dormheim, and I came across the Volmater, the Blazers of Fresh Trails, where I officially became a cleric.
I see, a cleric, man of the cloth. Why are you in Altmer Cove now, then? If you say your home was in Edrithia for a time, and with these monks, these other clerics, what brought you to my city, my town?
It has been many years, if we're counting, by the lifespan of men, since I've seen my father. So I have finished my apprenticeship, and I was going back to visit him, and, well, a man should see his father from time to time. But I came across your town, and I know it's a festival, so I stayed a day longer than I usually would.
I see. And when these men up and attacked me, why did you jump in to defend me?
Well, I decided a long time ago to dedicate my life to helping others, and it was just instinct to jump in and, shield the civilians.
I see. And he turns towards the cleric, and she's nodding the whole time. And he turns back to you and says, when you left with your companions, where did you end up going?
Well, upon your recommendation, we went to that cliffside cave that you told us about. We decided to investigate that. That caused quite a few problems, but I'm not sure if you want to hear about that. It doesn't directly affect you guys.
I see. And this death cult that you encountered.
I see the others told you about that.
Yes.
Well, the short and narrow is we went into that cave, and there was a cave-in, man-made or natural, I'm not sure, but highly suspect that it was an attempt on our lives. As we tried to find an exit, we encountered a cult of necromancy, to the best of my knowledge. So we dealt with them. We had an encounter with the supernatural, but we were able to find our way out.
I see. I must extend my appreciation to you and your companions for dealing with that threat. When you exited this cavern, this temple, and you encountered my guardsmen, can you tell me about that?
I wouldn't call it an encounter. No live ones, anyways. The only guards I remember seeing were the corpses of the men that we were falsely accused of murdering. And I would like to straight up say that none of our members had deaths of those. If we showed up earlier, we would have fought tooth and nail to save them like they were our own.
And he turns towards Sister Torvinius, and it seems he knows what answer he's expecting, an answer, and she nods. And she has a small smile on her face towards the mayor, sort of like, I told you so. And he regards her silently and turns back towards you and says, anything else, Master Dwarf?
Well, you probably want to know the reason that when we found your men, while they were not alive, we found something unearthly. This creature that stood on 2 legs and had wings. I'm a little bit fuzzy on my studies of things from the Nether, but it was a fiend that I've never seen before. And it summoned familiars that looked like dogs, but large as small horses. And we tried to fight it, but we were very outclassed, and whether it was the whims or the gods or just the fate of the creature, it flew off, and the best we reckon it was coming towards this town. It went southwest of where we were. And we decided that the best thing we could do is to report back and try to control the damage.
I see. And as you were heading back, what were your thoughts? What were your fears? What did you think you would find?
I was terrified that whether it was our act, that this creature that was, well, not to brag, but we've been more than a capable bunch so far in our travels together. But I don't know if we could have taken it in a fair fight. So if it were to come across a small town like this, a handful of guards and more than a handful of villagers, Well, it would have been a bloodbath, sir. I wouldn't have enough time in the day to do enough burial rites.
Well, thank you, good sir. I will have the guards direct you back to your cell.
I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. After this is cleared up, I hope that we can share a drink, and to you, sister, maybe get to know you a little better. And I will respectfully bow and call the guards.
Down the hall.
She
bow.
All the way down inside the hall, in the prison. You hear me
she
yell,
gives you
bow chicka bow wow!